Hello everyone. So today we are going to view the first challenge lab of the first quest, that is create and manage cloud resources. Let's move on to the challenge lab. The challenge lab consists of 3 tasks. First is you have to create a VM instance. Then you have to create a Kubernetes service cluster. And third, the HTTP load balancer. Go through all the instructions given in the lab carefully before starting the lab. Okay, so here's the challenge scenario for this lab. Here are some standards provided that you should follow. In case you don't follow the standards, you may exceed the limits and your account may be blocked. So first of all, you have to create all the resources in the default region unless and until it is specified, like some other region is specified. Secondly, you have to use the format team and then resources. An example is given to you over here. Third one is allocate cost-effective resources. There are also examples provided. Okay, so let's get started with our first task. Click on the Start Lab button. Use the subscription that you have, or in case you have credits, use the credits. It will take some time to provision the lab resources. Now open the Google console and sign in using the username and password provided to you. Make sure you're in the incognito window. Okay, now click on accept. Click on agree and continue. Okay, so your project is now created. So let's move on to create a VM instance. Go to Compute Engine, VM Instances. You can either use the UI or you can also use the Cloud Shell to create an instance. Click on Create Instance. Okay, so do the instructions again. The instance name should be nucleus jump host. You can just copy paste the name. Keep the region and zone the default ones. Click on series, select the N1 series and F1 micro machine. Okay, click on allow HTTP traffic and create your instance. Okay, the instance is created successfully. You can see a green tick in the status column and the pop-up saying that this instance is running. Okay, so the next task is first of all, let's check our progress. Okay, you're good to go. The next is you have to create a Kubernetes service cluster. Read the instructions given for the particular cluster. So let's get started. Activate your Cloud Shell. Click on continue. Okay, so first of all, authenticate. Check whether you're in the right project. Here you can view your project ID. Next, let's create the cluster. It will take some time to create the cluster, so wait for a few minutes. Okay, the cluster is now created and the status is running, so we are good to go. So let's get the credentials. Okay, the entries are generated. So now we'll create a deployment. Okay, do not leave any additional spaces in between. It will give you an error. Okay, the deployment is created. Now let's create a Kubernetes service. So Kubernetes service, it's like a Kubernetes resource that lets you expose your application to external traffic. Okay, so we are exposing it to port 8080 like we did in the previous labs. Okay, now the service is exposed to at port 8080. You can check your progress. It will take some time to expose the service, so wait for a few minutes. Okay, the assessment is completed. We are good to go. So let's get to the third task. So we have to create a HTTP load balancer. So the startup script is already given for both the instances. So you can just save it in the startup.sh file. So copy the code. And yeah, here are the steps that you have to follow one by one. Now let's paste the script. Okay, and move on to create our instances. Okay, the instance is now created. Let's go on to create a target pool. Okay, there's a typo. Create target pools. There's multiple. Now we have to select the region. Regions. Okay, US East 1. So enter 23. Okay, so now let's create the group. Again, select region as 23. That is US East 1. Okay, it has been successfully created. So now let's set up some firewall push. Okay, so the firewall has been created. Now we have to compute the health checks. So for that, okay, so it has been now created. Let's now set up some backend services. It has been successfully implemented. So next, let's move on and add the backend to the group. So check the name of your instance group that you have created. It is Nginx group. Okay, so now it has been updated. Next, let's create the URL maps. Okay, so now the default service is created for the web server. Okay, so now the URL map is set, and now let's create the forwarding rules, and later on we can view the list. Okay, so now let's list the forwarding rules. Yeah, so as you can see, both the rules have been created. Now let's check our progress. it will take some time to update. So as you can see, our third assessment is also completed. You can view your progress over here. And congratulations, you have received your first skill batch of Create and Manage Cloud Resources. Now click on the End Lab button and you're done.